And former Bronco Brady Quinn is here to break down Denver. We'll get a betting perspective in just a moment. But Brady, the biggest question going into this thing is how much of a difference is Russell Wilson going to make? Because this was not a playoff team before him. How high can he rise them up the AFC standings?
Well, go ask their former head coach, Vic Fangio. He felt like they were just a quarterback away, and I think maybe it was just a year too soon or too late for him, really, and his opportunity to take that team to the playoffs. I mean, when you go back through the years of Vic Fangio's tenure, there were so many times they were losing close one-possession games, and maybe it just took the clutchness or someone who's a closer like Russell Wilson to make the difference. And now we get to see what that's going to look like. However, you do have a first-time head coach, Nathaniel Hackett. Things could look a little different offensively, where I think Broncos fans probably in the past, at least under Vic Fangio, felt like they were too conservative at times with some of their play callers with the talent they had. But again, part of that was a byproduct of who the quarterback was. Now you've got a veteran, a guy who's been in the league for a decade. He's won a Super Bowl. He's put up some big primetime numbers. So I think Nathaniel Hackett's going to let him air it out and utilize some of the talent around Russell Wilson. My question tends to be more around, what's this team how are they going to stack up amongst the rest of this division you talked about? This is the division in the AFC West that I think you're going to get at least 3 teams that make it into the AFC playoff picture. If not for that crazy scenario where somehow you'd get 4, and I'm not going to try to go through the math to do that, Chris, but all these teams are very capable of not only win the division, but going to the playoffs.
We talked to Pete Prisco earlier, and he did have 3 teams making the playoffs out of this division. The Broncos being the only team he had out of the playoffs at 9-8. We're going to ask you if the Broncos are going to make the playoffs and what you expect from them this season from a betting perspective. Let's start individually with a season-long prop for Russell Wilson. His over-under passing touchdown set at 31.5. And we saw the list of the quarterbacks the Broncos have had since Peyton Manning. No quarterback since Peyton has even reached the 20 passing touchdown mark. Can he go over 31.5?
I think he can. I think it's a really interesting number, really, when you look at the fact that Russell only went over this number 4 times during his tenure there in Seattle. Now, a lot of that was a byproduct of the style of offense in which they played, a number of different offensive coordinators that are ultimately wanting to run the football first, as opposed to, hashtag letting Russ cook. Again, that's going to be different here with Nathaniel Hackett. They know that Russell Wilson takes care of the football. They know this is a passing league, and they're most dangerous when the ball is really in Russell Wilson's hand, pushing it downfield to the likes of Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, KJ Hamler, whoever else you want to talk to on this roster. They've got talent, speed, and ability. So I think they're going to air it out. I think they go over this number, and in part because, again, they're going to have to. When you look at the AFC West, and the other quarterbacks that are in this division with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Derek Carr, you're going to have to win some shootout games. So I like the over on this one.
He threw 25 touchdown passes last season. As you mentioned, didn't go over it a ton in Seattle with the way that Pete Carroll liked to keep the ball on the ground. Nathaniel Hackett last season with the Packers threw the ball 57% of the time. Pretty balanced when you think about it with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, with back-to-back MVP. Now he leads Russ and this revamped team that feels like it can compete for a division championship in the AFC. Hackett 16-1 to win Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I'm not so much on this bet in part because I don't think they're going to win the division. And we'll get to why and who's going to win that in a minute. But I think you're going to have to win the division, at least to have a shot for Coach of the Year. So to me, it's not so much about putting my money on that. And I also think you're going to go through some growing pains too. I mean, as much as you look at this team and say, hey, Russell Wilson's here, they're now going to start winning football games. Again, we talked about the division, but they've got a gauntlet for a schedule too. And so I think that's kind of difficult to navigate. You've also got a staff that's many times, a younger staff that's going through it for the first time and how they're going to handle all of this. So I don't think he's going to win Coach of the Year. I do think they're going to have a winning record. I am more optimistic on this team than Pete Prisco has been, as you referenced him a moment ago. But I think you've probably got some other candidates who are more likely to win the Coach of the Year job.
How about the other side of the ball? We've talked so much about the offense and the offensive-minded Nathaniel Hackett getting Russell Wilson in there. The defense has been the strong suit of this team in years past. What about this season?
The pass defense has been, not necessarily the rush defense. They were the middle-of-the-road rush defense just going back to last year. I'm kind of curious to see what the defense is going to be this year. Everyone's kind of banking on the fact that they're just going to carry on, somewhat of their dominance, at least in pass coverage and pass rush. Not having Vic Fangio there as one of their defensive minds, or Ed Donatell as their defensive coordinator, and obviously Von Miller moving on. which we saw that last year to a degree. But, Bradley Chubb hasn't necessarily been the player they had drafted him to be originally. They bring in Randy Gregory, but you're betting on, him hitting big time for you in what has been a very inconsistent career. So I'm kind of curious to see what's going to take place on the defensive side of the ball for Denver. They've got a first-time defensive coordinator too taking over, so there could be some growing pains there. Maybe not quite as dominant as what we've seen in years past.
3 teams in this division with win totals at 10 or above. The highest is 10.5, the Chiefs, and then it's the Broncos and Chargers with a win total of 10. Do they go over that?
I think it's more than likely a push. I think this number sitting at 10 is right on the dot. If I had to place some money on it, I'm going to take the over. I think Russell gets them to that number, that 11-6 mark. And I know that's a dramatic improvement from a 7-win team just a year ago, but I do think he's a difference maker in that regard, really where this team has been at. So I'm going to take the over. I'm a little bit reluctant to do that. But as I said earlier, I think 3 teams make it from the AFC West. And so I've got Denver as one of those teams, even though I don't have them winning the division. And again, as you break down their schedule, the truth of the matter is the AFC West plays the AFC South. So the AFC South is going to take the large majority of punishment from the AFC West this year. And that's where I feel like that's a division, the AFC South, that's only going to get a division winner making it to the playoffs. And there's where you're going to have the AFC West making up with beating up on the AFC South. So I think they get to 10. I think if you had to, I'd bet the over here.
Well, you don't have them winning the division. You said you think they are going to make the playoffs, which is minus 155. How about to win the AFC, where there is some value there? You think they can be a contender to win the conference? Right now, it's 9-1.
Yeah, why not, right? I think if you're betting on Russell Wilson, who obviously is an experienced quarterback in this league, he's won a Super Bowl, he's been there twice. This is a quarterback now, 8 of his 10 seasons in Seattle, they've won 10 or more games a year. So it's one of the reasons, too, why I'm bullish on them getting to that 10 mark, if not more, because he's displayed that over his course of time in the NFL. And we kind of look at the NFC West and say, well, yeah, that's been one of the most difficult divisions in football since Russell Wilson got in the NFL. So the AFC West is going to deter him away from that. And I think if you think they're going to get to the playoffs, which I do, I then think you say, all right, we're going to start looking at those quarterbacks who are still lasting and wanting to bet on those guys who've got experience, who've been there before, who know how to navigate the playoffs and understand the intensity that comes along with that. So I say, forget the division, forget, saying the playoffs. If you're really buying into this Denver Broncos team and Russell Wilson, go ahead and bet them to win the AFC.
Broncos playing in the last game of Week 1, the Monday Nighter in Seattle. Russell Wilson returning as nearly a full touchdown extra point favorite. They are 6-point favorites right now with an over-under of 42. What's your early lean on that one?
Yeah, you're laying the points with Denver here. And I know there's some people who might want to say that's a big line for a home underdog to open the season. We see some crazy things happen Week 1. I just have a hard time believing that, Seattle's going to be able to keep pace with Denver's offense on this one. It's not a knock to Geno Smith. I think it's just the style of football that Pete Carroll wants to play. He wants to slow the game down, shorten the game, run the football, try to play sound defense. The issue is he doesn't have the Legion of Boom anymore. And I'm not sure who really Denver's going to have to game plan against to worry about on passing situations of pressuring Russell Wilson. That crowd noise, the 12th man there in Seattle usually plays an impact. But that's typically when they have the pass rush or they have a secondary that can cover. They couldn't do anything last year. This defense was horrible at times last year in pass coverage and have a hard time getting after opposing quarterbacks. So until I see otherwise, I'm going to lay the 6 points there with Denver. I do think it'll be a lower scoring game, so I like the under in this one, in part because I don't know how much Seattle's going to score in this game versus that Denver Broncos defense that, if they can stop the run, I think Seattle's going to have a hard time throwing the football against them.
Brady Quinn breaking down the Denver Broncos, thinks that they will make the playoffs in their first year with Russell Wilson, and maybe some value on that 9-1 number to win the AFC. Coming up on Wednesday, we've got the Fantasy Football Today Draftathon, and it helps benefit St. Jude. Brady Quinn will be part of our coverage along with our fantasy guys, Jamie, Dave, and Heath. Also going to be joined by the likes of Deebo Samuel, the Niners All-Pro, Pete Prisco, Will Brinson, and even Jim Nance will be joining us on the Fantasy Football Today Draftathon Wednesday at 6 Eastern. Use that QR code on your screen right now to donate and help out our friends at St. Jude.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.